had a score in the
Look,
last 9 seconds. Welcome back to Beer and Footy. Talking some footy. I don't have a beer, but we'll still have a good conversation. My old friend John DeBenedictis, longtime executive director of the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. That's a mouthful. Better known as the NSCAC. We were just talking about great coaches in Canadian history. John, you were hired by you were working with Tony Waiters, the late great Tony Waiters, who took the Canadian team to their first and only World Cup in 1986 until John Herdman, the first coach in world history to take a women's program and a men's program to the World Cup. Canada's going. They're in Group F. They'll play Belgium, Croatia, Morocco. It seems like we're in a simulation. I can't believe it happened. They played so well. I'm so impressed with John Herdman. But, you know, in your opinion, as a longtime evaluator and partner and educator of coaches, is he truly a coaching genius? Is this one of the great coaches of all time? Or did he just get lucky, inheriting a golden generation of talent? Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, others. Did they get lucky, or is John Herdman really that good? What are your thoughts?
oh, it's a loaded question, isn't it? Yeah, for sure. It's a little bit of both, maybe. I mean, how lucky can you be to get, a player who's now ranked in the top 11 in the world? I don't think Canada's ever had that.
Nothing even close.
Okay, that's right. We've had no one close, right? That's the lucky part. And Jonathan David's been quite good, and we haven't had goal scorers like we have.
Never.
But you've seen in other professional sports where you can have great goal scorers or superstars or whatever, and you don't win the big prize at the end. So you have to have a coach that can bring that together. And John's done an amazing job. A lot of people weren't so sure he could go from women's game to the men's game.
Yeah.
But he's done a great job, and he does deserve a lot of credit. And we could talk about some of the things that he's done. I've talked to a few people as well that know him fairly well, and there's no question that quite a lot of the credit.
Yeah, we can get into what he's done specifically, but let me ask you a question, another loaded question. How did you feel when you heard the news that John Herdman was switching over from the women's program to coach the men's team? What was your honest feelings? Now, don't.
Yeah, the first feeling I had was really, you're coaching. Not that the women's aren't at the top of the game and whatever, but there are differences. And I always remember a book written by Tony DeCicco, who came from the men's game in the U.S. and took the women's national team, and of course they won the World Cup in '99, and he had to adopt his coaching style because coaching men is different than coaching women. One of the big things that he mentioned in his book was if he says to a group of guys, says, I think that you're holding on to the ball too long. Let's just pick. The whole group will be thinking, well, definitely he's not talking about me. He's talking about Joe over there, or he's talking about Brad, and Joe thinks he's talking about. Whereas if he says the exact same thing to the women, and the women are all thinking, oh, he's talking to me, or he's talking about me, or he's talking about me. So just the thought process of a female versus a male, and he had to change his coaching style. And of course, he did quite well. So my question was, Herdman, who's now coaching females, would he be able to adapt to the males? And so at the beginning, I was, you're going to have different challenges with men than you do with women.
Yeah.
But he quickly proved to everyone that he was able to adapt, and good coaches can do that. Mm-hmm. But you're right. At the beginning, I wasn't so sure. He's got me completely convinced.
I was skeptical as well. I was shocked, frankly. I thought we had Octavio Zambrano. Remember that name?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's shockingly dismissed. Amidst much secrecy, all kinds of theories about what really happened there. But John Herdman did an amazing job with the women. He transformed that program. We forget how bad they were. And they were playing terrible football. They finished last place at the World Cup, Sinclair in tears. And, he talks about his history with the women, how he used that picture of Sinclair crying after losing that last game.
Mhm.
And ironically, as bad as they did, it's still better than what the Canadian men did in 1986, but we won't go there. Anyways, that image was used to inspire the team. And he talks a lot about the psychology of inspiring those players and inspiring the men. Is his success largely based on psychology and mental strength, do you think? Is that his real secret recipe?
Yeah, that's that's one of them, absolutely. And I can give you some background information on that, secret background information that I just got.
Oh,
Um,
do
but
tell.
also, yeah, I just got it like today, although I'd heard before.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is that he's very prepared of what he wants from his players on the field. So,
Mhm.
it's not just mental. I mean, I only get you so far, but all the strategies and being prepared for each opponent and all that stuff, he's very, very good. He's got it all down. But on the mental side, so my nephew, his name is Daniel DeBenedictis. He was the equipment manager for. He was with TFC and went to the national team.
Really?
I worked with Herdman, so that's so he was impressed with how John right off the bat wanted to change the culture of the players, and one of the first things that he did is a lot of the players that maybe would come to a national game, maybe they weren't taking it as they don't take it seriously, but maybe not as work as hard or whatever it takes to win as they should, and
Yeah.
in a way gives them a break from their club teams, gives them a break from family maybe. Where Herdman, he basically right off the bat said, there's a lot of there's not much meaning right now in the Canadian passport. If you have a Canadian passport and you expect to go to play in Europe, it doesn't mean anything really. It's almost a hindrance. And he says, I want you to change that so that if you've got a Canadian passport, everyone in the world says, oh, maybe we should look at this player.
Yeah.
So he started right away the importance of playing for your passport for Canada. Whether you come from another country, you're playing for Canada, and he changed the culture. He brought in Robin Gale in the mental side of things, and she does an amazing job. Daniel says she never gets the credit she deserves. For example, when they're going to an away game, she'll decorate the whole floor with Canada stuff, making sure Canadian foods are there for the players, making them feel at home, making them feel important, and all the staff that they have, including the ball boy or the equipment manager, a little bit like Ted Lasso.
Right.
That series. Have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yeah. I've watched a few episodes.
How the ball boy or manager, he makes everyone work, feel important and part of the team.
Yeah.
And then all the players, you don't want a player just because you played here, you're coming to play for Canada. You're not willing to work hard and play that we're going to win and we're going to make it. And we're not going to be afraid of all the other teams, whether it's Mexico. We're not going to sit there and defend Mexico for 80 minutes, 90 minutes and hope for a goal. We're going to dictate. We're here. We're Canadian. We're going to play tough. So the mental aspect that John has brought onto the team and the players has been phenomenal. Something that not easy because you've got players who, first of all, they're coming from all over the country, don't see each other, but they're also a lot of backgrounds. Like Boran is different, Gana's represented by Davies, and so they're coming from all over, different personnel.
Yeah.
Phenomenal job.
And they're choosing
Herdman
Canada.
deserves the credit for that.
They're choosing Canada,
100%.
which hasn't happened in the past. I've been a long-suffering fan of this team. I was only 14 years old in 1986, and I thought, this is great. They didn't do so well. First World Cup, they'll be back in 4 years. And then the next 4 years, and then another 4 years go by, and 36 years went by before. And along that way, there was a lot of players who chose to play for other teams. We can mention the names of Begovic, went to a World Cup at Bosnia, Hargreaves, the only England player to score a penalty against Portugal in 2006, ironically on Canada Day.
Oh, was it?
It was, yeah. I remember watching that in a pub with my English friends and shouting abuse at the TV. But the history has been, if you were good, you went abroad, and why come back? Canada was not going to beat, their way out of the wet paper bag of CONCACAF, and there was no one that, if they had a choice to play for a European team or an African team or even an Asian team, South American team, wherever they were from, they came to Canada and didn't find an opportunity here. That all changed in '94 with the MLS, but the player pool all of a sudden blossomed into this golden generation. So you got to take that into effect. Herdman had the luck and the fortune and the foresight, making that switch, saying, well, look who's coming up. Alphonso Davies is bursting out. Jonathan David, Kyle Larin, first overall in the MLS draft the year before he took the reins. So he knew he was going to get a good team. But how much of that is good players and how much is good coaching?
Yeah, so certainly good players and a little bit of luck. Again, the inside information is that, when you're bringing a superstar like Jonathan David or Alfonso, sometimes they come with attitudes, and you got to deal with that.
Yeah.
John Herdman was quite lucky in a way that both Alfonso and Jonathan David, they're humble. They're no better than anyone else in that dressing room. They're not coming in with an attitude. That's a huge thing as a coach. If you don't have to worry about that, you're great human beings there that are teammates, and that helps. So that part was, you could say that's luck. Maybe that's just a personality, their upbringing as kids. Fantastic kids. So that helps when your superstars are not causing any trouble. And yeah, no question. That part of it, John's lucky. But again, he does prepare very, very well. For example, they'll videotape their practices, and then they'll go back and look at the highlights and talk about some of the things that maybe players are doing right, doing wrong. He's very organized with the staff that apparently he's got like 28 staff, and he demands a lot of them. He's expecting them to do better. I mean, I remember him telling Daniel, saying that we're going into camp, I want you to be better at the end of camp than you were before, and bring that to the next camp.
Yeah.
Expects that from all his staff, including the players. So when you're buying into something, it helps. There's no question. It helps. And, I think Canada has, in my opinion, 3 key essentials that you need to win. And so I think one of the posts that you saw that got this started is I said that I'm betting on Canada to win the World Cup. I think that's the one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that caught my
And
attention.
so, yeah, I think it did. And I'm asking for feedback on that on social media, because I'm going to write an article on it, because I do have the three things I think are crucial. And I actually did place a bet because I got lucky that I went to a birthday party right after Canada got officially qualified. And the birthday boy was going to Vegas for a trade show.
Yeah.
So I pulled out $10 and said, place a bet on Canada, which he did yesterday. And I believe it's 200 to 1 he got. So $10 will win me a couple
I'll
thousand
take
if
those
Canada
odds.
wins.
I'll take those odds.
Hey,
But come
not
on,
bad, eh?
John. $10.
1
Come
in
on.
32.
At least
But
100.
they have
At least 100.
they got the three things, in my opinion. Number one, you've got a keeper that'll seems to be making the right save at the right time.
Oh yeah, it's been enormous.
Right? You have to have a keeper that makes those saves at the right time. It's great making a save when you're winning 3-0 or losing 3. You got to make a save when the game matters, and Boran has done a phenomenal job with that.
Yeah.
And then you need, especially when we're starting to play Belgium or Croatia, tops in the world, you need that player when you get that one chance or two that can put the ball in the net.
Mm-hmm.
You can't win much if you don't have someone who can put the ball in the net. Canada, if you look at most of their games, maybe except for the last 1 or 2, they've lost a possession game. They've lost a possession game in almost every game, and they've won the match 2-0, 1-0, or tied. But they've put that ball in the net, so they have those players, which maybe we didn't have when we tried to qualify in
Never,
98 or
never had. All apologies to Thomas
we
Rudzinski and Dwayne De Rosario, but Jonathan David and Kyle Larin, that's two of the hottest young strikers in the world. Jonathan David's going to go to a Premier League team or a Spanish team. I mean, we're talking huge transfer. Kyle Larin just seems to score every time he plays. He's just that poacher. You're right. You give him a chance, and he's just so confident right now.
And I think if Herdman uses Davies up front or more an attacking role like he did against Panama and some of the other games, he's a guy that can score. And we're finding that Buchanan, who seems to come out of nowhere, and he looks that so we've got offensive players that we've never had before. And the third thing I'll say that you have to have is players that work their butt off. And I remember watching Canada, recorded quite a few of their games, and they lose possession, 10 men are going to be back within 5 seconds or less. They're sprinting. Unbelievable work rate. Carl Laren's going back to the same with Jonathan David. They're not prima donnas. They've got that mentality. They're working their. They leave it all on the pitch. So those are 3 things they have now. Can they win a World Cup or get out of their ground? We'll see. But I'm confident that they're going to cause some trouble.
Yeah, they're going to shock some teams with how good they are. Belgium seems prepared. Croatia very canny, aren't they? That midfield, Modric, Kovacic, Brozovic. They're going to be really tough games for Canada, but I'm so confident. I've actually had a hard time not projecting Canada to finish top 2 in that group and set up a quarterfinal with Germany.
Well, that'd be great, or Spain.
Or round of 16 with Germany, I should say.
Round of 16, Germany or Spain, it looks like.
I shouldn't get to the quarterfinals just yet, but.
No. I mean, I think they got probably next to that Germany-Spain group, probably the second toughest group they're in. So it's going to be tough.
Well, poor Costa Rica, not that we feel sorry for them, cheating bastards. They got the toughest draw, don't they? So if they beat New Zealand, which is a tough game for them, New Zealand, I think, will win it. I think John Herdman will help New Zealand win it. He's got connections. But whoever wins that playoff is going to go play Spain first, Germany second. And if they survive that, they've got the Japanese. So good luck.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's not looking good for Costa Rica.
No, no, and I couldn't be happier. During the draw, Canada was the last ball out, and there was a really good chance they were going to go in that group with Spain, Germany, Japan. Would have been crazy.
There was for a while. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
worried about that.
but confidence. So I'm really confident. John Herdman has infected me with his confidence. Is that what he did with these players? Because every player on that team, no matter how good they were when he started, they've all gotten really a lot better. They almost never make a mistake. I mean, mistakes happen, but errors of concentration or errors of hesitation, they never seem to make the classic Canadian late penalty giveaway, blunder in the box. They just play with no fear. How does he do it?
So far, you're right. I thought the little bit of a problem that they had was when what's his name in the game against Costa Rica? We got a red card.
Yeah, Mark Anthony K.
Okay, I thought that was a rare moment where they let their mental strength go.
Yeah, but
But I
that'll
think,
happen. But that's again an aggressive mistake. If you're calling that a mistake, that's an aggressive mistake. I like that.
well, I was thinking at that moment after the first, I would have pulled him out.
Yeah.
Because right away he committed another foul, and I said something's going to happen. So that was probably the only time maybe Herdman, and I knew he was thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because you could see him on the sideline.
Yeah.
But the other part about not making mistakes, it's not that they don't make mistakes, but because they work so hard, track back, there's enough men that they can cover up for each other.
Yeah.
One player, makes a bad pass, and it's in our end. We've got 2 or 3 men already there close to the ball to then win it back. So that's what he's got doing. He's got them working for each other, really hard. I'm sure he's talked to them, said, you guys want to go to the World Cup. Well, this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
And he's got them to buy in. This is the big thing that John's done, and done a great job. And if you hear him in any of the interviews, he's very quick to, shed the accolades with his staff and his players by they're buying in. He's very, very good speaker, and
Yeah.
we're lucky, I think, to have him. And I don't know if we can keep him after this if we do really well. It might not be affordable, but so that's the big thing. That's the big thing that he's done. He's got them all to buy in. Just work so hard. I remember seeing who's our left back, and a Kobe.
Nakubi.
Is that his name?
Transformed.
Um,
Transformed.
Right? Has he not changed? And I saw him in the game. I think we scored that goal. It was against the U.S. He must have sprinted up and down that field,
Yeah.
6 or 7 times within 5 minutes to attack, to defend, to attack, to defend. There's not a lot of players who are going to do that.
Yeah.
They're not doing it for the coach. They're doing it for the group.
For the group.
And Herdman sold that, and he's done a wonderful job. And you can see, I think, one of the things that Daniel had mentioned, he wants them to playing with your brothers. This is, your brothers. You're not. It doesn't matter who's on the field. You have to be there, and if you buy in, you're in, and you'll get your chance.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
that is a mental thing. Done a great job.
Yeah.
Can't say enough about it.
The other thing that he does very, very well is something I'd love to talk to him about as a recruiter myself, professionally. He recruits players really well. One of the big ones that doesn't get talked about enough is Stephen Vittoria, the big center back. He played for Portugal in 2007 at the World Youth Cup in Toronto. Born in Toronto, moved to Portugal. Same with Stefan Eustachio. Those two recruitments have transformed the team. Vittoria is so good as a big man at the back, commanding that back line. Eustachio is a player I would say we have lacked for these last 40 years as a midfield maestro, as a Luka Modric. type playmaker, who sees the game, wants the ball all the time, has authority on the ball, picks out the passes, distributes. How many goals did Kyle Larin score from a Eustachio Bowl? He's a great player, but would have been in the Portugal plans. I would think, he just moved to Porto. He's a player on the rise. He's still very young. But after qualifying, he was the most emotional about this band of brothers.
Yeah.
He actually said, even if we didn't qualify, I'm just so glad to play for Canada and
Wow.
play with this band of brothers. And he used that a few times. So you got to give him credit for getting good players to come over, taking good players and making them much better, like Adekube, like Kamal Miller, like Alistair Johnston.
Yeah. Alistair Johnson, another one. Yeah.
And
Sure.
that attraction, but also giving them confidence. But it seems like he's connected them together in such a way that they just die for each other out there. How does he do that? Any insights there from a longtime coach? How do you get players to die for each other like that?
Yeah, it's certainly not the easiest thing. I think, selling the, you got a country here that's provided for you. And I think you hear Boran talking about it quite often, how, he came from poverty and Canada gave him a better life, and hear from Davies. And I think he sells the country. That look what the country's done for you. What could you have been in and come over? You might not even get this opportunity. So love your country. I think that's easier to do than, say, a coach of a youth team, competing for players from other clubs. Love your club, and it doesn't work. So you're playing for your country, and I think there's no question that all the coaches and youth coaches, sometimes they don't get enough credit. I mean, Davies had to play somewhere, and he played in the Edmonton area. He had to play against other players. If those other players weren't there, he can't get better. So there's more players playing, more coaches making kids love the game, and every little coach that touches a player from their youth has to take needs a pat on the back, because without those coaches, these players wouldn't love the game. And now it's just a matter of having your leader there pulling together for the national team. Which is a lot easier when you have lots of players there.
Yeah. I just got a great idea for the podcast. Who was that coach that Alphonso Davies had? So I believe this was after school. So they moved to Edmonton. They're refugees from Liberia. Were in a camp in Ghana, moved to Edmonton, and he's playing free after school soccer in Edmonton. And from there, he's now one of the highest profile players in the world. He's got everything that he could ever dream of in a football career. Playing at the biggest club in Germany, Bayern Munich, won the Champions League. He's got a beautiful girlfriend who's also a professional footballer in France. He's a social media star, apparently. I'm not on TikTok. I don't know if you're a TikToker.
No. Facebook and Instagram is even a challenge for me, but
so I hope he paid to that coach. That coach in Edmonton with the free after school soccer deserves a lot of credit, as do all the coaches who try to meld kids into a team. I've had some experience. I always volunteer whatever team my kid plays on to coach. I just love that synergy of making a team. I've coached a men's team for a long time as a player coach, as a keeper coach. So, I have some appreciation for how well he's done it, because getting people to play together, be friends on and off the field, fight for each other, It's a real powerful thing to do, but he's done it better than anyone. What's some of the things you've seen from a psychology perspective that
Herdman's done. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's brought in a lot of good people to work under him. Like I say, Robin Gale, from what I hear, she's wonderful sports psychologist. And quite often they don't get the credit they deserve, and all the players love working with her. All the athletic people, assistant coaches. So you have to build a good team so that everyone kind of gets along and loves being together. And you can see that, they all seem to love being together, whether they're playing or on the sidelines, or even Alfonso, who's not there. He's there on Twitter live, with all of us watching the game, cheering him on. He's not even on the pitch. So he's done a wonderful job with that. And it's not easiest thing. I think you need to deal with a lot of different personalities, but I think he's just got them all to buy in, and no one is ahead of anyone. It doesn't matter where you sit on that totem pole. And you've also seen that he's used players in different positions, and he's used 38 players in qualifying.
Yep.
Which you almost feel as though, well, look, Alfonso hasn't been there for 6 games, and we're still qualified. So we're obviously way better with him, but it doesn't matter who fits in right now. He's done a great job, and then they switch systems quickly. Have to. Something's not working. Opposing's causing a different sort of a problem. He'll switch. He'll play the 4-4-2. Seems to be his favorite. There's different ways of playing the 4-4-2, and then he'll switch to 4-3, or with 2 holders, or sometimes with 1 holder, and then sometimes he'll go to a 3-5-2, and have a quick meeting when they have that fake injury, usually by the keeper.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised we haven't got any red cards or yellow cards out of that, because it's so predictable.
Hey, in CONCACAF, you get away with that because they've been doing it to us for years, right? Like you saw in Panama,
Exactly.
that last game. That was classic CONCACAF shithousery, fake injuries every 5 minutes, surrounding the ref. It's just ridiculous. But Canada's taken some of that and adopted it. So that's a really effective way to communicate. But you can see him calling players over, getting refreshments, giving them a break. It's a really effective way to change the game. And you're right, he does change systems. The team changes effortlessly. And Tajon Buchanan is key to that, as a wing back, as a forward. He's played left. Richie Larea, you've seen play in midfield, play left, play right. Junior Hoylett changes the game when he comes in. And these are 3 players that are key to success, I think, for Herdman as a coach. But, they have that ability to switch systems, bring in players. They always seem to be positive. The psychology combined with the effect to get the best out of players, plus the fact that he has the players communicating and talking to each other in ways we've never seen in Canada. I don't think we've really ever had a coach this good. Is he the greatest coach in Canadian history?
Well, that's a tough thing to say. I mean, I've always believed that Tony Waiters did a great job back when he took Canada to the World Cup back then. So, I'll put him up with Tony. Bobby Lenarduzzi, I thought he did a great job. We almost got to the final. It's hard. Is he the greatest right now? Yes. Right now, today, he's the man. Yeah. And maybe in another era, he wouldn't have been. But he's got the players. The other thing he has is he's got a lot of speed on that team. I don't know if we've ever had this kind of, it's not just Enzo, but maybe Laren's not so fast, but Jonathan David's fast, Larry Ayer's fast. Dejan is another guy, Buchanan. So speed hurts. Speed can kill, you know. So they've got some speed there. I don't know that we've had that. And maybe Paul Pesh was the last guy that had a bit of speed.
Yeah, Pesci Solido.
You know, right? He he used his speed and caused a bit of trouble there, but he didn't have a huge. We weren't the fastest team, especially
Yeah,
in attack.
and
So yeah, I heard Herdman's up there,
mhm, yeah,
but I can't. Tony Waiters, he was a master in his day with what they had to deal with back then. You got to remember when they qualified for the World Cup, 86. North American Soccer League disbanded in 84,
yeah,
which means most of the players for Canada did not even play in a professional team for 2 years.
yeah,
They're playing a pickup on the streets or just men's soccer, and we had to meld mesh these players into. Some of them were playing indoor soccer. We couldn't even use them because they were
yeah.
under contract. So he had to take this team, and we almost tied France. So Tony did a great job back then, and I'll leave it at that.
Yep, it was a great achievement. The qualifying game was in St. John's, Newfoundland,
Right.
where I'm from originally. And I remember as a kid, it was a big deal on the East Coast. And you watch the footage now, you don't realize it was actually a public park. People were just standing around. And
Murdered it into some sort of a World Cup field. So the story behind that, I don't know if you've heard, you probably have. So Tony, they played in Honduras, and the stories that you've heard, Tony will tell you the same thing. The drums are going in the hotel when they're playing in Honduras all
yeah,
night, trying to keep the players awake, and
yeah.
food isn't so good, and
Oh,
buses
yeah.
break down. And that was the truth because I heard it from the man himself. So when he had to play Honduras in Canada, he looked at the map and said, "Where's the furthest possible place that we could play?" And it was in St. John's, Newfoundland. Plus, we wanted a pro-Canadian audience because
Yeah,
you go in Toronto and you get more people from the other team. So
always.
he came to St. John's. So the funny thing is, John Herdman, before this last round, they had to get through during COVID, and they had to play against Suriname. And so they had their first game in Florida where their training camp was. I think they played them in a fairly simple game, but they knew that Suriname would have been a tough game. And because of COVID, they weren't allowed to play home games in Canada because the Canadian government wouldn't allow it. So they looked at the map. Herdman looked at the map, just like Waiters did 36 years ago, and said, okay, where's the furthest point from Suriname to what part of the U.S. can we play our game? And he found out that the plane connections that they would have to take would include an overnight stay because the plane got in late in Miami and they have to stay. And so Chicago was where they ended up playing because it was an 18 hours to get from Suriname to Chicago. Not much different than what Waiters did back then with Honduras.
Yeah.
And that was
yeah.
the game that Canada did win and then got us into this final round. So yeah, there's some similarities there, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I just got this actually. I
yeah.
knew about the Waiters story. Chicago story.
That's interesting. I didn't put that into the same perspective, but that was a critical game, beating Suriname. But going back to 1985, the unintended distraction or diversion, I guess is a better word. A lot of Honduran fans went to St. John, New Brunswick.
That's true.
And missed the game or came late. And there's a hilarious moment. If you ever watch on YouTube, you can get the full game now. There's a hilarious moment where they make an announcement over the PA. Could everybody move over and make room for some Honduran fans who just arrived late? And there's a section of them and they just kind of, scooch over a little bit. It's hilarious. But, we've come so far. That scene at BMO, wow, that was truly a stirring Canadian historical moment. The snow, the flags, not a single fan from another team. I remember the closest we came after 86, I was actually in Toronto, 93, getting ready for USA 94, which I see behind you on your shelf there. Varsity Stadium, final game, Canada has to win, Canada-Mexico, we're battling for first place. And it was basically me and 10,000 Mexicans.
I remember that game. I remember that game because I had tickets, and I thought I was late for the game because when I got out of the subway at Cumberland and started walking towards the varsity, I heard all sorts of cheering. I says, "Oh my gosh, I'm late. I'm missing, this big game." And I started running and sprinting, sweating, and figuring that I don't want to miss too much of this game. It sounded like Mexico's or somebody scored. As I got closer, there seemed to be a lot of green, red, and white flags. Where's the, and then I got in. The game hadn't even started. They hadn't even done the national anthems, but the place was packed because they get there early. I guess everywhere else but Toronto. I don't know. You go to a TFC game and kickoff, and half the stadium's empty. Well, the 10-minute mark, it's full. But no, they got there early, so I remember that game. And did we win or lose or tie? I can't even remember. Obviously, we didn't win.
No, Alex Bunbury scored first. Beautiful header from a set piece, and we were leading, and then, we lost 2-1. So it was heartbreaking for me, and surrounded by Mexican fans, Varsity Stadium, those wooden benches.
Yeah.
But that was the closest we came, and then we went to play Australia, lost in penalties. It's a long, sad history. So that moment on Sunday, when we finally qualified, I got a little emotional. How about you? Did you tear up?
Yeah, almost. Well, I had to run off to a birthday party after. I said at the onset, but yeah, I mean, I was confident they were going to go through already. To me, it was a done deal. But,
of course.
But still, officially qualifying after all those years, as I say, with Bobby's team, 98, they came so close. I think even Stephen Hart, in one of the games, and his team, he thought he got robbed by the referees. Then there was that game where they had a good chance. They lose 8-1 in Honduras.
Oh, don't even bring it up.
It was just a disaster where I thought maybe we would do something. So many close calls. It's been heartbreaking. Even in fact, today I was talking to Bobby Irushi. Played for Canada, and he was with the 82 team, and he had said that they should have qualified in 82 because they had in those days the whole final round was in one, and it happened to be Honduras. And Canada had beaten Honduras, tied El Salvador or Mexico, I can't remember. In their last game, all they had to do was win or tie. And he complained that the coach started the wrong players, and they were behind the 8 ball, and they lost 2-1. And instead of qualifying, they didn't. He thought that the 82 team was actually better than the 86 team. But so we've been so close so many times. And, this is, we know we're going to be in the next World Cup because we're expecting to be there. But, it just didn't feel right to say we're going to get this automatic. So this feels so good.
Yeah.
We earned our way to the final. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
This country, and, I'm starting to see radio talking about, hey, we're going to host radio ads. They were hosting the World Cup. Listen to our station, and same with television. I'm seeing more and more soccer, people talking about it. It's about time. We keep seeing the highlights of, the goal in Edmonton there, and jumping in the snow. It's now being ingrained in our minds, and you're going to see all the young kids are going to want to play soccer. Not that we don't have good numbers, but it's going to continue to grow. And hopefully some of the money the Canadian soccer is going to get by qualifying will be fed back into youth soccer. That would be wonderful, because there's still a lot of kids. You know, it's almost become, if you don't have enough money, you almost can't play at the highest rep levels. So hopefully we can make sure that every kid who's good, you know, doesn't have, you know, can still play. I'd like to see that. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of coaches we all agree with. Sometimes the costs have been a little bit too high.
Yeah, yeah, it's such an important job, being a coach. Like I said, I volunteer, and I just actually emailed the organizer to volunteer again this year. Love the game and love Canada. And for the first time ever, you can do both at the same time. The Canadian program is one that you can fall in love with. I think they're going to win the World Cup. I think you should have bet $100 at least, John.
Think?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm seeing if I can find a bet. Is there a bet if we can score a goal? I think we're going to score one for sure this
I think
time.
we're going to score every game.
I know last time we didn't score one.
No.
But no, it's fantastic, and you know, you're already starting to see all of a sudden, from what I hear, is that people are looking at Canada. They're not, you know, just you know, they want to see where these players are coming from, and even in one of the clubs that I'm with, Pickering, there's an English club that's become partnered with Pickering in the League One team, because you know, if there's a player that they should find and cultivate and makes their way up and gets transferred, you know, they make their money from transfers. So you're gonna start to see more and more people from Europe or wherever coming to Canada and watching our youth play. And I think that's great. We're, you know, they just pass us off, but you look at Alistair Johnson, who was in League One only a few years ago, quickly moves up to a national team and MLS. We're turning a lot of eyeballs.
Yep, indeed. A lot of credit to the coaches. John, thanks so much. I got to let you go. You know, this was the first show. The podcast is called Beer and Footy. This was the first one I did without a beer. I think it's the best one. It can't be a coincidence, but I don't know about you, but I'm feeling thirsty. I'm going to go find something to drink. Thank you again. It was a great chat, John.
Thanks very much for having me. Appreciate it.
And get involved if you're able to credit the good coaching work done at the NSCAC. John is a volunteer, and we should all get involved to support the Coaching Association, because they turn the players of tomorrow into the stars, like Alphonso Davies. Done an incredible job. John Herdman is a coaching genius. I think we all agree. Future coach of England, maybe. Do you think they'll tap him on the shoulder?
They'll be coming after.
Yeah,
for sure. People will, whether it's a Premier League team or a national team. He's going to be in high demand, no question.
Well, he's an inspiring guy. He inspired me, and coaches everywhere inspire kids to become better. Thanks so much, John. Yeah, hopefully we keep.
Thanks very much.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Thanks.